the OEA Young Economist Award. For this, the criteria was that the economist has to be below 45 years age and must have done substantial contribution or outstanding contribution to the field of economics. And for this, we had a call for nomination. For Lifetime Achievement Award, there was no call for nominations. It was selection committee which recommended. But for Young Economist Award, there was a call for nominations. And it was, of course, not self-nomination. Other people have to recommend your name. And we received 10 nominations in total. And for this, we had a jury. The executive committee nominated a jury. The chairperson of this jury was Professor Uday Mishra from IAPS Mumbai. And the other two members were Professor Saudamini Das from Institute of Economic Growth and Professor Himanshekhar Raut from Utkal University. The jury members have recommended the name of Professor Alok Kumar Mishra from University of Hyderabad for this award, OEA Young Economist Award 2023. And this award again carries a medal which is made of silver and gold plated and a citation. Now I request the President of OEA to award Dr. Professor Alok Kumar Mishra and also the medal and the citation. I request everyone to have a round of big applause for Professor Alok Kumar Mishra. Now let me read out his brief work. Professor Alok Kumar Mishra has unique experience in both corporate and academics in the corporate sector. He handled index quant, credit risk measurement and management, market risk management, fixed income securities analytics, structured product valuation such as CDO, CLO, CMBS, RMBS, compliance modeling, portfolio optimization, hedge funds analysis, financial derivatives and trading strategies, data analytics, machine learning programming. In academics, Professor Mishra's expertise is in open macroeconomic dynamics, financial markets and instruments, financial derivatives and risk management, fixed income securities, land economics, transport economics. Yesterday his book was released on urban economics and policy, applied econometrics and time series modeling. His expertise is visible and recognized in teaching, research and publications, consultancies, training assignments. He has created an impact by designing and launching an MA in Financial Economics 2-year program at University of Hyderabad in 2016. The program is very much successful and attracts the best talents to the program for the pan-India level. From the pan-India level, he initiated a program in land, housing, transport and urban economics program in 2014 at the School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. The program produced around 6 PhD scholars and 6 PhD scholars, 5 MPhils, 2 projects, 13 journal articles, 3 books, 4 edited books and so on. So the list is long. Impressed by his program, UGC issued a circular to all central universities, IITs and NITs to introduce a course titled Urban Economics in their corresponding PG program wherever applicable. And he has received the prestigious Erasmus Staff Mobility Training Program Award 2023 from Germany, Chancellor's Award for Contributions to Teaching and Research 2016 from University of Hyderabad, then Baden-Württemberg Fellowship Award at South Asia Institute, Heidelberg University, Germany 2014, Amity Excellence Award for Best Faculty in the area of Applied Econometrics, Amity University, Noida, and he was awarded the Quality Champion and Innovation Excellency Investment Research that is evaluation.com India in 2009. So I'm not going to read out the entire thing. I'm sure actually Professor Alok Mishra has made significant contribution for this award. So with that, may I request Professor Alok Kumar Mishra to deliver his valedictory address or say as a response to this award. Over to Professor Alok Kumar Mishra.
Yeah, good afternoon. A warm welcome to all of you. At the outset, I thank the Odisha Economic Association for selecting me for this Young Economist Award. Being from Odisha, I feel privileged and honored for this award. And I presume this award is in recognition of my published work, which reflect in the areas of interest of financial economics. From 2014 onwards, I was working with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development in terms of the urban and policy research. And this financial economics, as Amrendra has given a big introduction. Yeah, having said that, I also feel proud that I direct an unique program in the country at the School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. The program is called as Land, Housing, Transport and Urban Economics. The subject is grossly neglected throughout the country. So it was the year of 2014 where I was nominated to discuss with the World Bank Chief Urban Economist. I was a certified financial analyst at that point of time because I came from the corporate sector. And he said, look, in the developing countries, the cities are languishing. And the next generation of the economic growth is going to be written on the canvas of planned urban development. Can you apply some kind of your financial or the financial re-engineering or engineering technology? At that point of time, I was managing the US pension fund, where it is called as the structured finance or the credit derivative products like collateral bond obligations, collateral lending obligations, residential mortgage-backed securities, and which was also a culprit of this global financial crisis. So that was the starting point. Also, my entry into the academics, and by the time I was giving the interview, so Professor B.B. Bhattacharya was there in my panel. He said, Alok, I don't have any question on the finance because he knows to me from the 2003 onwards. But he said that, did you read this irrational exuberance by the Robert Shiller, which was coined by this term by Alan Greenspan? So he said, why these macroeconomists or the statisticians or the econometricians, they miserably fail to predict this kind of global financial crisis? What went wrong? I took 2 minutes to pondering about, and I was wondering what answer I should give because that's the interview. Then suddenly it has occurred to my mind. I pronounced, so there is some problem with the disintegration of the financial and real sector. We call it as the financial re-engineering products. But is this re-engineering products either through a direct channel or through the indirect channel, whether it is incorporated in the real sector to reflect? Then I recall my macroeconomic stage, the classical dichotomy, post-Keynesian, neo-Keynesians. I have given all this paradigm. So most of my research, I have given more emphasis into the financial sector and real sector interlinkages. And after that, I have gone through, because of this World Bank Urban Economics, I have started with this urban economics and public policy. Nowhere it was there. In some of the research centers, bits and pieces, some of the modules was incorporated. But now the question arises, why I'm emphasizing this urban or the urban economics or the urban public finance or the transport and all these things? In fact, while choosing this topic, I was confused whether can I keep my title as a general theory of cities, rent, agglomeration and growth. So my entire presentations here, it is going to be revolving around with your urban planning, urban designing, urban infrastructure, urban governance and urban finance. And what I was going to project, of course I cannot complete everything within 10 or 15 minutes, but I just would like to give you some kind of issues what went wrong and what we are supposed to do and why this subject was actually neglected. And my motivation for this is one which is called as Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, the Millennium Development Goals has also talked about that. There are 179 targets, and goal number 11 was emphasizing on the city should be safe, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. In fact, I would like to quote a World Bank quotation that no country has grown to middle income without industrialization and urbanization, and none has grown to a high income without the vibrant cities. So, but in case of the developing countries, or especially in the emerging countries, what happened? There is a rush to the cities, which is very chaotic in nature. And that is why there was a completely disintegration between this planning, designing, infrastructure, finance, and governance. And if you look at the global figure, the cities account for 75% of the natural resource consumption, 80% of the energy supply, and 75% of the carbon emission. So I'm not discarding the diseconomize of the agglomeration externalities that city can produce. But having said that, I am going to present a different synthesis or a genesis why after the agricultural transition to the industrialization and service sector, the next generation of the growth, it is only the urbanization. I consider the city development and urbanization as a holy cow. And if you would like to feed the milk to everybody, then we should concentrate on the cities. And to substantiate that, if you look at the Telangana state GDP, 75% of the growth is concentrated only from the Hyderabad. So if I can concentrate more on this Hyderabad, I can generate the revenue and I can develop all my peripheral areas in terms of the rural development. Because finance plays a very important role for all kind of infrastructure and resource development. My second motivations goes like this. You all have realized there is a severe pollution in the Delhi, air pollutions, environmental degradation in the Bangalore, once called as a garden city, devastating floods in Hyderabad in August 2000, October 2020, Chennai, Kerala, and Mumbai. And now there is one school of thought has developed in the outcome of this pandemic, whether it is going to the death of the cities. And they keep on blaming the densities. Then why, when I have developed my motivation towards this urban planning as a vehicle for this engine of growth, I started asking how this urbanization is actually, or this urban economics is actually different than my mainstream economics where I'm trained in. Then what I found, city economics occurs in terms of increasing return to scale. In city, we are deviating from the production function by relaxing land as a variable. So no more we are talking about the competitive equilibrium or the general equilibrium. We are talking about the spatial equilibrium. We are not operating at the constant return to scale. We are operating into the increasing return to scale. We are talking about the perfect computation. In case of the urban economics, we are talking about the imperfect computation. And apart from that, the city provides the specialization externalities, and the knowledge is not new. It is from the Marshall from the 18th century. The city provides the competitive externalities, innovative externalities, and the last, Durantan and Puga said that the city also provides the sharing, matching, and loading externalities. Now imagine, whenever you are in the imperfect computation, you are operating in the increasing return to scale, you are operating in the spatial equilibrium, what kind of pricing, whether it is possible. And that is what the Krugman has given this kind of new economic geography to the Economist, that how the spatial equilibrium and city can play a pivotal role. Apart from that, city is a hub of all the growths because of your scale economics, scope economics, networking, job impact. If you minutely observe from the classical growth theory to the neoclassical growth theory to the endogenous growth theory, everything is available in the cities. But still cities are neglected. And apart from that, if you look at the Schumpeter's innovations, Rosenstein-Rodin's productive industries, Lewis' surplus labor, Knox and Lumpy's infrastructure investment, John Robinson's capital accumulation, and Solo and Swan's technical progress, Hirschman's investment in the productive industries, Romer's knowledge externalities, Lucas' human capital, and Krugman's increasing return. What not? Having said that, the city's blood is actually flowing the transportation. That's why I just would like to quote over here, you and I come by the road or rail, but economics travel by the infrastructure. The city infrastructure is completely languishing. Now look at the world urbanization trend over here. You can see the world in case of India and China, where we both are urbanized and 26% in 1990. In 2014, India is urbanized 32%, but China was 54%. But in case of the 2050, India is expected to urbanize by 50% against the China for 76%. But urbanization is inevitable. Now, what happens, what went wrong? If you look at the latest data, of course after 2011 there is nothing. So in case of the urban areas, whenever the urban population has been increased by 13 points, this 13%, our cities is actually growing by 3 times. So there is a large urban concentration in the city areas, which creates a daunting task for the policymakers to provide the civic facilities, affordable housings, and the other infrastructure problems. But if you look at the city's contribution towards the growth, so 17.3% of the urban population, they are actually giving 29% of the growth. In 1991, 25.7% of the urban population, they are contributing 55%, and in 2007, 29.7% of the urban population, they are actually contributing more towards 63%. And as per the Planning Commission's projections, it is going to be the 75% by 2021. I'm just skipping about this infrastructure and finance. But why cities should be given more emphasis, having this kind of negative externalities in the mind in case of the high urban land and housing prices driving the urban poor and the formal land housing markets? Something as that such, I have presented my book. Lack of civic amenities. Our municipal finances are completely languishing. They have the only own resources is that property tax or the holding taxes. The intergovernmental transfer is not happening. There was not proper budgeting plan. That is why there is a gross mismatch between the function and finances. Even the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act has given the financial autonomy to the urban local bodies, the rural local bodies, but because of this gross mismatch of the finance and function, they could not perform. So my argument over here, all these issues is to that how to strengthen the local public finance. So in case of the urban areas, land plays a very important role. Land can be considered as an input, output, as well as a resource. But what happens because of the land-based instruments are not harnessed, the urban public finance principles like users pay, beneficiaries pay, polluters pay, exhibitors pay, and growth page, that kind of principle was not incorporated. There is a lacuna in the urban planning. We are still following the 1954 Act of Town Planning Model of the UK. After that, that has 9 times changed, but we have never implemented that. We do not have any land zoning planning. We do not have any inclusionary planning. So that is why the urban sectors could not perform to the level they are expected to perform towards the growth. So keeping that in the mind, there is a problem with the urban governance as well. So how can developing countries manage and finances these kind of service provisions, and what kind of cities we are looking for? We have implemented the smart cities. To me, the smart cities definition is that if in a city, if I am getting the 24/7 water, safe drinking water, 24/7 electricity, 24/7 I have the access to the healthcare, education facilities and good civic facilities. If any kind of smart solution will be there for this kind of cities, the smart city problem can be resolved. But after that, what these developing countries should be focusing upon, what kind of cities in the future we are looking for. We need a city which should be economically efficient, socially equitable, environmentally sustainable, financially viable, pandemic proof, and disaster resilient, climate smart, and inclusive and human. So what kind of responses is required for this kind of challenges? I'll just take 1 minute before the conclusion. So shaping the urban structure. So we need the integration of the regional and urban planning, rural and urban planning, land use zoning, transit-oriented development, or your transport planning, spatial and economic planning. The second one, the development of the leading regional infrastructure. It should be focused on more towards a public transportation led. At this point of time, our Indian cities are completely automobile driven. We do not have the sufficient public transport system, even though we have not learned anything from the British rule. Building public health foundation and disaster resilience, addressing affordable housing. That is why we are advising the government for the inclusionary zoning, because in case of the affordable housing, neither the private builder nor the government, they cannot come forth to provide the housing for all. So is there any kind of strategy in terms of the density bonus or the floor area, space ratio density bonus? Addressing affordable housing, tenure security, slum upgradation and redevelopment, issues of exclusion, skills training for the market-based or the wage employment and self-employment, rural development, exploiting the rural-urban strategy, protection of the urban environment, and the more important is strengthening of local self-government. While I'm addressing this in this Odisha Economic Association, but I must tell you, the economists make policies. However, the politicians decides based on the vote banks. So we as economists, what is my call over here, if the first best principle is unattainable, the economics should focus on the second best, third best, and they should continue for the so forth and so on. So cities like Bhubaneswar must reform the property tax. The Bhubaneswar Development Authority needs to exploit the land as a resource linked to the infrastructure with a 20-year horizon view. State and central governments may consider a statutory share of local bodies and the GST. And along with that, if I remember, the Kelkar has suggested the federal eco-structure of the GST sharing with 50-50 and 2%. 5:5:2%. In that way, the urbanization can be tapped, and in that way, the urbanization can be considered as a new vehicle for the growth and development. Thank you very much.